Well, if these allegations are true, Mamdani could be facing exactly what Aaron Adams faced for the allegations of taking Turkish money. And it's very simple. The DOJ brings charges. It's up to 5 years in jail for each count and a $250,000 fine. Liz, for decades, there have been allegations that foreign money has been flowing into New York politics, whether it's for Hillary Clinton, AOC, and now here we are again.
Oh, hell. It's too late now. Don't throw him in jail. Don't throw him in prison now. Hell, let New York go to hell. Let New York find out. This is what they voted for. Everything's free, free, free. Free hee. So let's go and see how this work out for it. You know, people need to be made, things need to happen. People got to learn. So I say, let everything play out how it's supposed to play out. Don't throw them in jail now. Y'all had a chance long time ago to get rid of them, to deport them. And now y'all let New York go to hell. So here we go.
Yeah, this is bad stuff. Foreign money coming in. I mean, the referrals were filed by the Coolidge-Reagan Foundation, claiming Mamdani may have violated a Federal Election Campaign Act, New York City election codes, and that Mamdani's campaign was on notice for months that it was taking in illegal foreign contributions, but did nothing meaningful to stop it. That some of the money apparently was tied to regions and individuals openly sympathetic to hostile actors. That's
unbelievable. I tell you, let's get into this. Roll that intro. God dog.
Want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
Hey. Why this beat so cold?
We will make America proud again. And you try to we will make America wealthy again. And yes, together, we will make America great again.
Right now in U.S., Mamdani just became the mayor of New York City, financial capital of the world. Prior to that, the financial capital of the world was London, right? So you guys had it for 100 years. We had it for 100 years. And, you know, when Americans sometimes look at Europe and they look at EU, they're like, wow, look, London's lost. They've lost their identity. Look what's going on to them. And we had Dominic Tarczynski, who was here from Poland. He said, we'll never do what London is doing. We'll never do what EU is doing. What can New Yorkers, if you can give them advice to what look for? You guys have Sadiq Khan. I think he's the first three-term mayor in London ever, right? Muslim guy himself. What happened to London after he came in that New Yorkers can expect?
It's interesting because I think there's been a slight mischaracterization of the comparison between Mamdani and Sadiq.
Y'all gonna be a lot of criticism towards Mr. Morgan. I can already see that in the comment section coming now.
Khan. They're both Muslims, but Sadiq Khan is very much a establishment Labour figure in the UK. He's not a progressive woke left guy on many issues. Mamdani is full on self-acclaimed socialist. That's not Sadiq Khan. Sadiq Khan, the parallel I said with Mamdani, he keeps winning elections because the opponents they put up against him have been universally useless.
This is Sadiq.
Yeah, so he's had a very easy run. And to be fair to him, he's won re-election twice. Mamdani was up against Cuomo, who I always felt was damaged goods. I felt if you're going to put a moderate up against him who actually was new and fresh and interesting, he probably could have done better, or she could have done better. So Mamdani had a bit of a clean run against a damaged guy, I felt. But there's no doubt this is a seismic moment for New York. I mean, it's the biggest city in America. It's one of the great capital cities of the world. It's, in many ways, the heart of capitalism itself. And here you've got a guy out there not just espousing a socialist philosophy, but it's seemingly utterly determined to try and deliver it. Now, I would say, look, Mr. Mamdani, this is all very well offering everybody everything for free, but there's a reason socialism hasn't worked anywhere in the world for any sustained period of time. At some point, somebody has to pay for this. So who's going to pay for all this? And the answer will be what's happened with the Labour government in the UK. The taxes aren't set by Sadiq. He has a tiny bit of power over local taxation. But the Labour government came in with a thumping majority just over a year ago. Massive, one of the biggest majorities of modern times, a real repudiation of years of very poor rule by the Conservative Party under a series of prime ministers. And they promised all sorts of things. You know, prosperity is coming, hope is coming, all these things. And it's been a complete disaster. And they're now about to unleash a budget in about 3 weeks' time, which they're already setting the stall by is going to be a total U-turn on all their pledges in the election campaign. They said they wouldn't raise income tax. They're going to. They said they wouldn't do this, wouldn't do that. They're going to do it all because they've realized they can't pay for all the promises they made. And I think this is what's going to happen in New York.
How ugly things going to be in New York?
Well, it's going to get very interesting politically, I think, because Mamdani is clearly the most charismatic figure the Democrats have had, really, for a long time, since Obama, you could argue.
Maybe even more charismatic than Obama, if you think about it.
He's more engaging, actually. I think he's more engaging. And look, he's an Arsenal fan like me, a big Arsenal fan. So we have that in common. And it's not that I object to his aspirations. It's just that often with socialists, there's a complete disconnect between the aspiration and the ability to deliver. Now, if we come back in 2 years' time, let's be clear. If Mamdani, within 2 years, manages to deliver on his socialist agenda in a way that is deemed to be successful and popular, massive transformative moment for the Democrats leading into the next general election. I don't think he can. I think the opposite will happen. I think he'll either, like a lot of these guys, once they get power, pivot more to the center ground, or he will try and force through these socialist policies. It won't work, and he will become the stick to beat the Democrats with leading into the next general election. So there's massively high stakes here because the Democrats have nobody else who has any real charisma. Nobody. And in fact, the most charismatic people on the left in America right now, you could argue, are Mamdani, AOC, and Bernie Sanders. So you've got a bunch of socialists dominating the news cycle for them.
Yeah, and what do you do with that, right, when you're seeing that part taking place? Because, on the other side, Nancy Pelosi stepping down, Newsom, you hear that voice coming up, and you're an interesting place because you do business in New York, you have a property, I believe, in L.A., you're in London, you're going back and forth, so you kind of are
Like Zoran Mamdani's transition has begun, and residents are speculating how much of an impact he'll actually make. While some prepare to hunker down in the Big Apple, others are packing their bags fearing his socialist policies. Meanwhile, some in the media are already questioning if Mamdani, the mayor, will look like Mamdani.
Packing them got doggone bags, huh?
I think the Mamdani that we saw on the campaign trail, who was a lot more calm, who was a lot warmer, who was a lot more embracing, was not present in that speech. I think he was using the microphone in a way that he was almost yelling. And that's not the Mamdani that we've seen on TikTok and the great interviews and stuff like that. So I felt like there's a little bit of a character switch here where the warm, open, embracing guy that's close to working people was not on stage tonight. And there was some other
character switch. I mean, he been a phony from the beginning. Character switch.
Voice on stage.
I agree with everything that Van said about that speech. This was a shouted speech, not a talk with the city on the night of his election, ushering in a new era.
Well, those are big-time Democrats, and they're looking at the split personality of Mamdani there in the wake of his victory, by the way. Sparked outrage from Charlemagne.
Shut the F up, Ever. Okay? Damn. There was no opportunity missed. The man just won.
Joining me now, Fox News contributor and former New York City Police Inspector Paul Morrow. Paul, I think that's an important soundbite because as much as, my good friend Jessica Tarlov and Marie Harf, they're thrilled about the victories. To me, to have Van Jones saying that in the wake of the victory and Axelrod in the wake of the victory, they're seeing something in the undercurrents that there may be this little division in the party and Mamdani may not be good for them.
Yeah, doesn't it feel like we're seeing the preview of a civil war inside the Democratic Party here? Because what's going on here with Mamdani is undeniably national. This is national news. To have a guy who is a Democratic socialist but who has said things that track directly to typical traditional communism, as in, I have no problem with seizing the means of production. That's a quote. We all see what's coming here. And
what the hell that noise is? Y'all, that ain't me. That's this. That's their audio. What the hell wrong with this thing?
the Democrats are going to have to own him. And the Obama, Biden, even Kamala, traditional Democrats that the country is used to, did not see this guy coming. New York City did not see him coming. He came in overnight. Nobody knew his name. Overnight, all of a sudden, he was the favorite. That was TikTok. And I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I don't think he's a witting Chinese asset. I'm not claiming that. But what I am saying is that his policies track far closer to Beijing than Washington's.
Wow.
And there's a reason that TikTok was shoving him down the throats. It's come out now. The think tank is confirmed. from their analysis that TikTok had gained its algorithm to support him, to push him out. So it's no surprise. Should be no shock.
Okay, that's fascinating. TikTok and Mamdani. I do want to play this. It's something that's been frustrating me all week. We keep hearing about the moderates, the moderates, the moderates, the moderates. They're the ones who won. Let's listen to the media talk about the moderates.
They said they were moderates, and they're going to govern moderate.
Abigail Spanberger, who is clearly a moderate, as is Mikey Sherrill.
Spanberger, who is more moderate.
We saw moderate Democrats, Spanberger, Sherrill elected as governor.
We'll have two moderate Democrats who will be the next governors of New Jersey and Virginia.
So the moderate out in New Jersey would not reject the endorsement of a socialist. And the so-called moderate out in Virginia kept the endorsement she had for a guy, Jay Jones, who fantasized about killing children. Moderate.
Yeah, and, I have to say that this tracks to what we were just talking about, because there really is this schism here. And when you really see it playing out, you actually, once again, Mamdani is serving as a little bit of a petri dish for who the Democrats are these days. And look at Schumer, right? He doesn't want to endorse, but yet he didn't want to endorse Mamdani, but he also didn't endorse Cuomo because he fears the Zoronistas. Because he's going to have to own that if he tilts that way. They're all doing that. They're afraid of AOC. They're afraid of the squad. It's become a little bit of a fait accompli that Newsom is likely to be the 2028 nominee for the party. And I got to tell you, I see AOC coming hard. That's where I see the money, the ambition, and the, really the momentum and the old guard. There's a video that circulated on X where Schumer is getting into an elevator, and he's got a young person with him. They asked him a question it was about Doge, as I recall. And before he answers, he looks to this young intern or assistant that he's got with him for approval, gives a snarky answer, and as soon as he's done, they get in an elevator to flee, and he looks at her like, did I do okay? It's so telling. It was such in perfect relief of what the old guard sees coming. The Republicans are going to be running in the midterms, but really in 2028 against the DSA. Whether they have the nomination or not, that's the DNA of the party.
Well, I'm going to be using Zoronistas, and to that end, there were some Zoronistas at Zoran Mamdani's victory party. Let's check out who the Zoronistas were.
Look who it is. Oh, my God. Oh, now we're going to cause some real trouble. Did he vote 65 times? We got Mahmoud Khalil is here. Mahmoud Khalil is here. And he voted 5 times. He voted illegally 5 times.
So I just want to be clear. Jamal Bowman, he's the fire alarm puller. Reports say he could be leading New York schools, so he's there. Then you have Hassan Piker, who's made some controversial statements. He was joking about Khalil voting there, I would note. But your thoughts on this crowd? Yeah,
Bowman, who pulled the fire alarm. So now if he becomes the head of the New York schools, anytime you don't want to take a test, pull the alarm, kids. Here you go. The boss did the same thing. All right. Listen, it's ridiculous, but that's what it is. He's an unemployable, and so they're going to give him a gig. And by the way, it's one of the best gigs in the city. You get a brownstone. It's well paid. As far as Piker goes, he shouldn't be admitted to polite company anywhere in this country, in my estimation. He hates this country. He said America deserved 9/11. He has said that communism is the honorable outcome of socialism, so we know how he's thinking. And he also said, and this is a quote from the victory party, that America, unfortunately, won the Cold War. Unpack that. Between Lenin and Stalin, you're talking between 20 and 30 million dead. But I guess a lot of them were Jewish, so it doesn't count that much.
Man, scary stuff. And we also have news that we're going to...
Oh boy, check this out. 5 years in jail, Mamdani blindsided after election. And I believe this is, again, going back to the donations thing we covered when it first came out. You just can't make this up, man. But like I say, this has been going on for quite a while. Just so much corruption, so much fraud. The hell with all these politicians, man. And good luck, New York City. Like I say, New York City, somebody got to learn something. And if y'all want to send it to hell, let it go to hell. I shouldn't have said that. They say, Rick, Sarah, you're going too far. But hey, if you want to send it to hell, let it go to hell. I'm just saying. Sometimes things got to burn and crash for people to learn something. You know?
Mamdani hasn't even taken office yet. He's facing up to 5 years in prison. Before we get started, please really help us out, and they help our channel continue to grow. A lot of fundraising happens for elections. A lot of money has to be spent to get candidates elected. Mamdani raised a lot of money. Credit where credit is due. For a socialist, he sure knows how to get capital. Here's the problem. Some of that money, in fact, a good portion of that money from what we're hearing, the rumor mill, as it were, says that that money came from foreign donations. Now, if that is true, not only does he face massive fines, he faces up to 5 years in prison. This has happened before, and it's a big deal. It's not a minor campaign finance violation. If he's taking foreign money, then you have to ask yourself what those foreign contributors are looking for in exchange for that money. Now, it may just be foreigners that like him, and maybe they're not looking for anything in return, but it's still illegal. If he knowingly took foreign money for his campaign, well, then his mayorship may end behind bars. And considering what he's going to do to New York City if he stays mayor, that might be the best thing that could ever happen in New York City. I want you to watch this and let me know what you think in the comments.
Well, if these allegations are true, Mamdani could be facing exactly what Aaron Adams faced for the allegations of taking Turkish money. And it's very simple. If the DOJ brings charges, it's up to 5 years in jail for each count and a $250,000 fine. Liz, for decades, there have been allegations that foreign money has been flowing into New York politics, whether it's for Hillary Clinton, AOC, and now here we are again.
Yeah, this is bad stuff. Foreign money coming in. I mean, the referrals were filed by the Coolidge-Reagan Foundation, claiming Mamdani may have violated a Federal Election Campaign Act, New York City election codes, and that Mamdani's campaign was on notice for months that it was taking in illegal foreign contributions, but did nothing meaningful to stop it. That some of the money apparently was tied to regions and individuals openly sympathetic to hostile actors. That's the allegation.
And, you know, it's not a stretch to believe that the allegation isn't true. If you look at the polling, something like nearly 2/3 of New York City voters who are born outside of this country are supporting Mamdani. And then you think about the other outside actors that want to see the finance capital of the world, you know, turned into a communist hellhole. It's not a shock to think that these foreign donations are going to Mamdani. Plus, you have a history of this happening in New York politics and no one doing anything about it.
But, you know, the other startling data point, too, the New York Post is reporting, we got to check it, that Mamdani raised more than $1 million over 5 weeks. But the math shows more than half of that forward, 53%, 532,000 came from donors outside New York City, meaning his campaign donations there are from contributors who don't vote, who cannot vote in the New York City mayor election. They're outside the state.
Well, there's a lot of people that have a vested interest in Mamdani winning, whether it's the Tides Network, Arabella Advisors, Soros. They want to see him succeed because they want to see him blow up New York City and turn it into a socialist hellhole so that the rest of the nation can follow it. This is about destroying America from within.
Got it. Ford O'Connell, thanks for being with us. Now we're moving on to this story.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. You just can't make this up, but we'll see where it goes, man. But we know. No one's ever held accountable. I tell you, what a disgrace. Yeah. This has been going on for so long, you know. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.